Welcome back. I'm Reagan Nichols, WGU student, and today we are focusing on the C455 class, that is English Comp 1. For those of you who don't know, I was homeschooled, and so growing up, I had lots of different opportunities to learn different things. One of those things was how to write essays. And I learned how to do that in MLA format, did not know how to do that in APA format. And because I was homeschooled, I also had the opportunity to not write a ton of essays. And so going into English Comp 1, I was kind of a little intimidated by it. I'm good at writing. I like to write. I journal all the time. I write books. But writing assignments themselves is a totally different ball game. So going into this, it was a little stressful. There's 4 different tasks. The first one is a narrative essay, and that one I did pretty all right on, because that one was you just writing about yourself. The other 3 were a little bit more difficult, and I actually had one of them sent back to me because it wasn't super according to the rubric. I was approaching competence, which was great. But I think going into the whole course, I think really just need to focus on following the rubric and paying attention to what is in the lesson material, because when you go through the lesson material for these specific tasks, they'll tell you how many pages you need, it tells you how many words you need. Really, you could complete this class without even looking at any of the material. I had to look at the material because I had no previous education writing APA format or causal essays or proposal essays. I mean, when you ask me to write something, I could throw something together, but when they say, I need you to write a causal essay about whatever, it's like, well, I'm not passionate about very much. And so let's see, for the narrative essay, you write about your literacy, like how you started writing. And then for the other 3, you write a causal and a proposal. And for some reason, I can't remember what that second one was called, but I wrote that one about the damages of technology in the workplace. The second one I wrote, there's a video that you watch for that material, and the lady on it suggested you could write it on love at first sight, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna write it on heartbreak. And so I ended up doing the maladies of the broken heart and talked about broken heart syndrome, traumatic grief, and separation anxiety, and that is a really cool essay. I think it's my favorite one that I've written so far. And then for the last one, the proposal essay was just how to cope and find solutions to dealing with these things. If I had to go over and do it again, I think it would have been really beneficial if I could have just sat down and then just wrote things. It's my scanner, I hope you can't hear it. Because really you just need to focus on defining, explaining, supporting, and then repeating for every single paragraph. And to begin and end the thesis statement, it all works out pretty well. I did have one assignment returned to me. That was the one about social media in the workplace. She said whoever evaluated it talked about how there was interesting information presented, and my thesis statement wasn't clear, and the whatever they noted as the thesis statement was not my thesis statement. And so what they suggested I make changes for my introductory, make sure my paragraphs align with what I presented in the thesis statement, and then expound more in my conclusion. So I went back, and it probably took me about half an hour just to delete that second line that they thought was the thesis statement, or that first line that they thought was the thesis statement, revise the body. I think I took out a resource and then put a new resource in, and then I ended up actually rewriting the entire conclusion, and it worked out just fine. The most important thing, I think, when it comes to writing these is double checking the rubric, because the rubric is going to be pretty similar for all of those, but the instructions are going to be different. And so you're going to want to be able to make sure you know what it is that you're going to be graded on, because you can grade yourself and you say, okay, that makes sense. Something else that I do that I want to show you is I got this jumbo calendar to track progress, because I realized that it's really hard to stay motivated when I get a task returned, or really hard to stay motivated when I was just having to read page after page after page after section of a material book. So I got this calendar, and I started marking off all the different days that I got an exam back or an essay or something that I passed. And this has helped it go really fast too, because then I can see takes about 3 days on average to get a pass or a not pass grade on a paper, but sometimes I can get them back in 2 days, which is really awesome. Sometimes they don't come back until the end of that third day. So while those are in waiting, I can say, okay, this day I should have this one turned in, and then it's going to take 3 days. So before then I want to have this one turned in, and then I'll be able to mark 2 off. That's been really helpful in scheduling. And because I can track it now, I can see that it takes me on average about a week to a week and a half in order to pass a class. This one is the exception. It's taken me 2 weeks. Usually it normally takes me 4 days to a week or a week and a half. So that is the C455. I have the proposal essay that I still need to turn in that I'm finishing up today. And that's pretty much it. Keep learning, keep rocking on. At some point in time, I might make another video 3 classes ahead. Progress-wise, I am 20% done with my degree. Hopefully, I'll be able to push that to 50 by August, and we'll finish in 2 terms.